So this session, right? So Mike and I, we speak to a lot of people about careers. Mike is an information security professional by trade. This is the announcing part. So Mike's an information security professional by trade, and he's got a real big interest in careers, and he does a lot of help with people through mentorship and just to help guide a lot of young folks in their careers. And my role, I actually run an executive search firm in the information security space, and we place people across the country in roles that go from chief security officers all the way down through security analysts. Work with all different types of companies, products, services, corporate stuff. And Mike and I met at Blackhat probably about 6 years ago or so. And it was kind of interesting because he had this real interest in careers. And then about 3 years ago, we got together, and we started to kind of collaborate a little bit more on talks. We did a couple things over at DEF CON. And about a year ago, we started a blog called infosecleaders.com. And, it's not that we contribute a lot regularly on the blog, but the one thing that we do on a regular basis on the blog is we do something called Career Advice Tuesday. And it's kind of a way where, anybody who can ask a question or has a question that pertains to their career, they can ask it basically anonymously, and we'll post it up the site basically anonymously. Oh, it's bad already? But, we post it on the site anonymously, and really, what we try to do is to take personal questions and give them a little bit of a broader appeal so that everybody can benefit from the advice and guidance. When people work for their careers, your career is very much an individual thing. Something that's interesting to you might not be interesting to the person sitting next to you. So when we talked to Jeff and Ping about, they said, hey, look, could you guys do like a Career Advice Tuesday session live here and, give the audience and the attendees a chance to ask whatever questions that they want about their careers. And we thought it was a good idea. And look, anything that, so the basis of the session here is really, it's your session. I'd ask that, the one ground rule is that, whatever happens here kind of stays here. I didn't make that up. But just the idea is that, people are going to ask some questions that are personal to them, just to make sure that, nobody judges anybody. As much as you want to talk about, the specifics of your questions, we'd be happy to go into as much detail as possible. If we run out of questions, Mike and I have some questions that we've built on our own that might help, that are common questions that we get. But in general, I guess the best way to say is that I guess to start, to give you guys maybe a little bit of a backdrop, we did this talk, we did this compensation survey this past, oh goodness, what was it, the spring of this year, right? February. And the survey itself, and it was just kind of an interesting point because people have some very interesting ideas about compensation. And it was just a 15-question survey that we put together. And it was really talking about people's attitudes towards compensation. And I just want to give you guys a little bit of data from that, and I think you guys might find interesting. So, and a lot of these questions really kind of come out about perception. And the perception of, are you going to pull one of the slides up? And really talking about the individual nature of the careers, about what really matters to the individual themselves. And so we asked the question, say, instead of money, if you had to accept less compensation for your job, what would you be willing to trade? And, we found some interesting stuff. We found that the number one answer that we received was 49% people said, and you could pick as many answers as you wanted, but 49% of the respondents basically said, I'd take less money to save my own ass. I thought that number would be higher, but I thought that was fair. I think that that kind of showed a lot of confidence that people felt that they could get another job, that if they were told that they had to take less money, that they would sooner go out and get other employment. But I think the thing that was the most fascinating thing to both of us was that 47%, almost the same amount of people, said that they would take less money in their job if they got more education and more training. So the concept is this, is that getting more training is basically equivalent to saving your own ass. It's kind of interesting that it's so close, but it shows how important that training, education, and professional development is to information security professionals as a whole. And then the other stuff that was interesting is that about the same, between 35 and 38% of the folks said that things like work less hours, more vacation time, the ability to telecommute, that all those three main quality of life issues became very important, were very important. I thought that was kind of interesting stuff. We also got another piece of information that was, we started to talk to people about information security professionals' attitudes towards compensation. And I think that the one thing that we kind of found was there were some real big perception issues.
Yeah, no question. I mean, we tend to be we believe that as security people, we are more valuable than our peers in IT. That because we're security people, we deserve more than the other IT people.
So I mean, so let's just do a random sampling because there's going to be some audience participation anyway. So just to ask a couple of questions, right? So because you're an information security professional, how many of you believe that you should earn more money than somebody with the same skills, but another IT professional, but who doesn't have security as part of their discipline? How many people believe that they should earn a lot more money? Right? So in our survey, right, 50%, half the audience, half the respondents said that they believe that they should earn a bit more than IT, and 33% said that they should earn a lot more because they're security.
So total of 83% of us.
83% is like basically 5 out of 6, which is pretty interesting, right? And so here's another question we asked. How many people feel that they're underpaid in their job?
About half the room.
How many people feel that they're overpaid? About 0. In the survey, right, 60% of the respondents felt that they were underpaid, and only 3% of the folks thought they were overpaid. And so last year, here's another one. How many people got a salary increase last year? Only
about half.
Got a salary increase.
About
anything. So let me, of everybody who had a salary increase, how many people were disappointed in the amount of their salary increase? About half of that.
Yeah.
How many people were pleasantly surprised? Right? So the ratio is basically somewhere between 5 and 6 to 1 of disappointed to surprised. In our survey, 50% of the folks were disappointed, and only 10% were pleasantly surprised. So I think that the one thing that we can see here when you look at this data is that there's some really big, strong messaging disconnects between individuals' perception and the marketplace perception. And I think that that's one of the big reasons or the big divides when it comes down to job satisfaction, when it comes down to people feeling good about the work that they're doing and getting really maximum value out of their information security career.
Completely.
So,
you want to take questions?
No, yeah, I mean, so you want to go through that a little bit, Mike? 'Cause
no, I was going to wait. Let's do some live questions if anybody's got one. Anybody got a question? Yeah. Hold on. Before you ask it, I'm gonna do the Vanna White thing and run around and actually make sure that you end up on mic for the people at home.
Yeah, so you started out at the start by comparing salaries of InfoSec professionals to IT professionals. And I voted that InfoSec professionals should be paid more. And my perception just is that there's many more people in IT and much more just many more people in
There are
that
fewer,
job market.
there are fewer information security pros.
Fewer information security, sure. So wouldn't that justify higher pay in InfoSec if there's a higher demand?
Well, if you're an information security professional, it justifies that to you. But in corporate HR functions, they don't differentiate.
Yeah. So I think it's a specialization. Would you, by saying everybody in IT is specialized? You're a DBA, you're a security person. It's not any different. But we think our specialization is somehow more valuable than the other ones, right? It's not that there are probably not that many more DBAs in the world or Sun Unix administrators in the world than there are security people. Everybody's got their own specialization. So the idea that our specialization is somehow more equal than all the other ones, and that's where what Lee was just saying, the corporate HR function goes, well, this is just one more checkbox on my list. The company doesn't really care.
So when we work with a large company, if we work with a large financial services institution or a large retail company, when they're hiring for security, they basically have, does anybody have salary bands in their jobs or salary numbers that come? So those numbers are not security-specific numbers. Those numbers, from an HR perspective, cut across the entire company. So when they're figuring out what to pay you, they're looking, there's something that they refer to as called internal equity. And what they're trying to do is to create more of a standardized blueprint across the company to manage costs and to make sure that there becomes a degree of normalcy throughout the organization. And security in the 90s, maybe the early 2000s, we were able to get more of a skill set premium. But now as security has become, we've accomplished our goal. We've become more mainstream. We're more accepted by corporations. Corporations have a security function. And because we've been so good at making ourselves a standard or a component of corporate infrastructure, we have to play by the same rules. So thinking that we don't is a big fallacy. Sir. Oh. What do you think?
This isn't really a money thing, but so I guess if you are a security professional in a corporate environment, oh, sorry about that. If you're a security professional in a corporate environment, not a government environment, whether it be network security, what have you, in your head you're thinking to yourself, okay, my job is to protect this company. So in that light, I deserve more than the guy who is selling the product of this company, because what I do actually has a bigger stake. If I slack off or if I don't do my job correctly, bad things could really happen. Whereas if that guy doesn't do his job, maybe he doesn't sell as much.
Well, if there are no sales, then you all don't have jobs.
That's true.
So, I mean, everybody, so the thing is this, is that we all have our own vanity. We all believe that we're more important than we truly are. I think that everybody who comes to work has a certain sense of professional pride. So they believe there's a sense of importance that if I don't do my job, then this is the consequence. But those consequences